Blake Lively tried to smother a court setback with a pile of throwbacks, 20 photos and 0 actual friends in the comments. If nostalgia were evidence, she'd have a case. Unfortunately for her, it isn't. I came home from work, looked at them, and immediately felt that she was trying to sell everyone a feeling. Cute lighting, warm filters. So-called besties from a show that made high school look like a couture catalog. The caption said, 18 years. My brain said search engine PR. I typed her name and watched the headlines flip like a deck of cards. The cheerful stuff climbed. The court stuff slid. She did not post memories. She posted metadata. She posted a map, not a moment. 20 slides teach the page what to show you. Blake plus beloved former castmates plus reunion equals hearts. That is how you flood page 1. You hand easy copy to outlets that run on templates and watch the smiles stack above the filings. It is not clever. It is cafeteria food for search. You feel full for an hour. Then, you remember the docket exists. And the rollout was built for syndication. Anniversary language that needs no fact check. Photos that look like friendship even when the comments look like a museum. You can practically see the subject lines. 18 years. Behind the scenes. Fans are loving it. Fans? Mostly fan pages. The people who were actually there did not pull up. The wheels spun anyway. You could feel the tactic in the bones. A nostalgia dump right when the docket gets noisy. That is not sentiment. That is placement. It says, I know how the internet breathes, and I plan to hold its nose for 5 minutes. And for 5 minutes, it worked. The carousel sparkled, Google smiled, then the timer went off and reality walked back in like it owned the lease. The comments told the real story. Limited, curated, airbrushed replies in a room that should have been loud. Fan pages cheering for other fan pages, while the people who matter kept strolling past the door. Hollywood does not leave long paragraphs. Hollywood leaves you on red. Follows are the handshake. Silence is the shrug. When a post claims family and the family does not show up, that is a plot point. Silence is the industry's favorite statement. It costs nothing and says everything. If even one former major co-star had dropped a lazy heart, we would all have seen it. If even one director had dropped a 2-word inside joke, the fan pages would have screenshotted it into the clouds. Instead, there was the hum of a refrigerator, cold, constant, impossible to ignore once you notice it. And the limited comments are their own press release. When you rope off a nostalgia post, you are telling the room the nostalgia cannot carry the weight. You are telling the room you want gallery rules. Look, do not touch, do not ask, do not correct. That is not community. That is a brochure you cannot fold. It would be a good idea if it were anybody else. Not her, not now. Nostalgia works when the present is quiet. Her present is a fire alarm. Posting cozy memories while the docket hums is like The Rock posting a tribute to his hairstylist. Technically fine. Functionally hilarious. And worse, most of the people in those throwbacks do not even follow her, and the few who do are not sprinting to the comments. The gap between the message and the moment is the punchline, and the guest list makes the joke land on her. Look at the optics, not the filters. If it is a reunion, you tag people. If it is friendship, they wander into the replies on their own. If it is real, you do not need a caption to tell us it is real. This felt like a reunion drafted by a marketing calendar, not a group chat. Balloons at a party nobody RSVP'd for. Pretty balloons. Still awkward. And then the Penn photo. That is where the plan trips on its own heels. He is married now, newborn twins. A whole new life that does not need to be folded into anyone else's comeback. A throwback is not illegal. It is just cold to use an old romance as a fresh prop. You do not need to tap a new dad on the shoulder to say, "Remember me." We all got the subtext. No neon required. There is also basic courtesy. If you respect the family, you do not put their life back on the rumor treadmill to score a day of headlines. You do not harvest the old romance just to cover this week's bruise. You do not make a new mother and a new father field texts because your grid needed padding. That is not nostalgia. That is a tax on people who moved on. And the refusal to tag is the tell. You want the image without the responsibility. You want the past tense without the present tense consequences. It is a neat trick until the audience notices who pays for it. Here is the exchange rate. A carousel buys a spike. The spike buys a headline. The headline buys 12 hours of peace while the bad news walks around the block. But sugar crashes, it always does. When the carousel stops, the questions are still waiting by the door, checking their watch. The internet is kind for 10 minutes. The docket does dates and orders. Different weather. Here is how the day actually ran. Hour 1, post goes up, fan pages blast. Hour 2, people and bots push it out. Hour 6, search shows smiles on top and filings under the fold. Hour 12, the denial gets daylight. Hour 15, limited comments trend as a joke. Hour 18, the Penn discourse takes over the replies you allowed. Hour 24, the grid looks like triage and the room is back to court dates. That is the loop. That is why the sugar never lasts. She appears to be wanting a redemption arc without actually doing anything for the redemption. This is just a content loop. If the word redemption ever appears, it starts with public repentance, not a scrapbook. Until then, this is the influencer version of hiding behind the couch cushions while the bill sits on the table. Back to the strategy. On paper, clever. For her, wrong player. Nostalgia is a blanket when the room is chilly. She is standing in front of a space heater set to high. You cannot cuddle your way past filings. You cannot caption your way past a calendar. Cute throwbacks do not cancel discovery. The algorithm can applaud. The judge prefers receipts. Just Inside brings those. Now, the social math brands hate. Limited comments tell on you. If you believed your story could stand, you would let people talk. Rope off the room and the rope becomes the headline. Fans feel handled. Defenders cannot get through. Energy goes stale. That is the kind of stale you cannot fix with perfume. You have to open a window. She keeps taping it shut. Nostalgia always works. Sure, until it does not. Nostalgia is a mirror, not a blanket. Hold it up and people notice what is missing. The cast not chiming in. The tone that feels curated instead of connected. Press copy and pasting warm blurbs while the timeline side eyes the whole thing. That gap does not close with a caption. That gap widens with one. Here is the pattern. Smart plan, messy edges, right idea, wrong instrument. It is a love song on a leaf blower. Loud, noticeable, not persuasive. The room is older and meaner now. It has receipts saved, calendar dates circled, and a long memory for who used who as a prop. That memory does not refresh every time she posts a smiling grid. So yes, she won Google for a day. And yes, she lost something else without noticing. While the search page smiled, the social temperature dropped. While the headlines cheered, the quiet people who normally toss a polite heart did not. The big win had a short shelf life, the small loss will linger. It always does. I'm just really getting tired of the same worn-out tactics that her and Ryan are rolling out with. I wish that they would stop trying to bury a bruise in blush. Stop pretending a carousel is a cure. The only receipts that matter are the ones in the filings, where Justin's team keeps showing their work and hers keeps getting graded in red. She tried to bury the bad with the pretty. It worked for a minute. The minute ended, the room remembers. The clock is loud. There is one door to redemption, and it does not open for photo dumps. It opens for repentance. Until then, this is not an arc. It is a loop, and we are not clapping.